Welcome back to our channel Sri Siblings. We are back with a new video after this many days. Today's video is on disaster management. So first, let us learn about disaster. A disaster is a serious disruption occurring over a relatively short time of a functioning of a community or a society, involves widespread human, material, economic or environmental loss and impacts which exceeds the ability of an affected community or society to cope using its own resources. In contemporary academia, disasters are seen as the consequences of inappropriate managed risk. These risks are product of combination of both hazards and vulnerability hazards that strike in areas with low vulnerability with ever become disaster. Disasters are of two types: natural disaster, man made disaster. Natural disasters. A natural disaster is a major adverse event resulting from natural processes of the earth. Examples: flood, hurricanes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, tsunami, earthquake, and other geological processes. A natural disaster can cause loss of life or damaged property and typically leave some economic damage in its wake, the severity of which depends on the affected population, resilience on the infrastructure availability. Man-made disasters. Man-made disasters are hazards caused by human action or inaction. They are constructed with natural hazards. These hazards may adversely affect humans, other organisms, biomass, and ecosystem. The frequency and severity of hazards are the key element in some risk analysis methodologies. Hazards may also be described in relation to the impact that they have. A hazard only exists if there is a pathway to exposure. Examples include road accidents, building and bridge collapse, and terrorist attack. Disaster management. Disaster management can be defined as an organizational management of resources and responsibilities for dealing with all humanitarian aspects of emergencies. The aim is to reduce the harmful effect of all hazards, including disasters. It should not be equated to disaster management. The World Health Organization defines an emergency as a state in which normal procedures are interrupted and immediate measures need to be taken to prevent that state turning into a disaster. Disaster management is crucial to avoid the disruption transforming into a disaster. Disaster management is also known as emergency management. Disaster management for earthquake. Existing critical facilities built or claimed land should be inspected and retrofitted to ensure earthquake resistance. Future critical facilities should not be located on reclaimed land because of high potential for liquefaction. Older unrefined masonry buildings should be inspected and retrofitted to increase earthquake resistance. Disaster management for cyclone. Future critical facilities should not be located in areas of accelerated winds. The roofs of existing critical facilities should be retrofitted to a higher standard to ensure wind resistance. Building openings such as windows and doors also suffer damage from high velocity winds. These openings, if not constructed of wood or metal, should be protected with shutters or temporary covers of adequate design. Disaster management for tsunami. In some tsunami prone countries, earthquake engineering measures has been taken to reduce the damage caused ashore. Japan, where tsunami signs and response measures first began following a disaster in 1896, has produced even more elaborate countermeasures and response plans. That country has built many tsunami walls of up to 4.5 meters to protect populated coastal areas. Other localities have built floodgates and channels to redirect the water from increasing tsunami. The roofs of existing buildings should be inspected and, if necessary, retrofitted to adequate standard. Disaster management for volcanic eruptions. Learn about community warning systems and of disasters that can come from volcanoes, earthquakes, floodings, landslides, mud flows, thunderstorms, tsunami. Make evacuation plans to higher grounds with a backup route. Have a disaster supplies on hand, flashlight, first aid kit. Disaster management for floods. Water forces which pass through significant settlement area should be properly configured and lined with Concrete. Future bridges should not be built with these undesirable features. Critical facilities should not be located adjacent to water courses. Disaster management for road actions. Road actions are common in India due to reckless driving, untrained drivers, and poor maintenance of roads and vehicles. For road accidents, traffic rules and regulations need to be followed strictly. Public awareness should be made to minimize road accidents. Disaster management for bridge and building collapse. Building and bridge collapse are frequent in India where construction is often heavily done but very hastily with little safety regulations to avoid it. Standard building materials should be used.